Hey y'all, this is JD Hurst. I'm a Christian romance author. I am also my own publisher and publicist. So I'm going to try this YouTube podcast thing, see if it works out for us. Kind of wanted to introduce myself on this first one, just kind of let you know how I came to be here. I am closer to 50 than 40, and I have just published or written and published my first four books. This one right here, Covertly Me You, is my first published book. However, it is certainly not the first book that I have written. I've been writing since I was probably 16 years old. My first effort where I put pen to paper, literally, back in the old days, was I was a heartbroken teenager. I had moved from my beloved Texas to Utah with my family, and I left the cowboy behind who I thought that I would marry and be with forever. Because you know so much at 16, right? Um, it did not work out, of course. He sent me a Dear Jane letter right away. He didn't want to do the long distance thing, and I didn't blame him. I was heartbroken, and I just we were staying in a church at the time, um, and I just kind of laid down on the floor in the sanctuary and got a notepad and a pen, and I just kind of started pouring my heartbreak out onto the paper. And I think for that first time I started writing, I didn't move for 6 hours. I just laid there and wrote and cried and made a story out of my own heartbreak. That story is still on paper. I still have it somewhere, and it is my goal to eventually put that on paper on the computer and turn it into a book. Of course, because I was 16 when I wrote that first one, I will have to, fine tune it and improve the quality so that y'all will enjoy reading it, even though it's about heartbreak. It also is about triumph and coming back. The same goes for this Covertly Me and You. It's the first one that I released. I released this for Mother's Day 2023. And the characters are Miss Hadley Morris. She goes by Lee. She has some heartbreak of her own that kind of shakes her up all the way to her core. And the way she handles that is very unusual in comparison to, how a lot of people grieve. She would have pressure from the people in her life to grieve more appropriately and do it the way everyone does it. And you can never tell someone how they're supposed to grieve, what stage they're supposed to be at. You can never say the right words when someone's entire world has been destroyed. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're crazy when they act a different way than usual when their heart is broken and when their world is crushed. Her male counterpart in this story, in Covertly Me and You, is Mac McElroy, and he is a combat wounded war veteran, U.S., and when he gets out of the Marine Corps, he starts a mixed martial arts gym where he trains, champion fighters, and most of them are young teenagers who are coming to his uh, gym, I guess you would call it. So that's a little bit about the book. I really want to kind of back up a little bit and just talk about how I came to be here. I have often done things backwards in my life. When I was 19, I had left home. I was working in the Washington, D.C. area, And I was in college, and I was on my way into the Marine Corps myself. My cousin was my hero, and he was a lifelong Marine, still is, even though he's retired. And I wanted to be like him. Um, well, I met an Army boy and fell madly in love with him within 12 hours of meeting him. I went from, oh, well, this is a nice guy and we'll be friends, to this is the one I'm going to marry. And I certainly was not in the market for a boyfriend, much less a husband. However, God created us for each other. Absolutely, we are a match made in heaven. And I just threw my dreams, my hopes and dreams out the window so that I could marry the Army boy and run off to Germany with him, where we had our first child, and also brought our second child into being, although she was born in the United States. Um, Germany was an amazing place. It was terrifying because I was a 19-year-old little girl, having a baby of my own, trying to figure out how to be married to someone I barely knew. We had dated for 2 months when we got married, and in those 2 months, we actually only spent 12 days together. So we didn't know each other when we got married. It was a struggle. It was tough. However, God gave us this place called the Hospitality House in Bamberg, Germany, run by Danny and Catherine Perez with Cadence International, which is a missionary group to the United States military. And it was really the way that we were able to bring ourselves back to God. We had, we were trying to do everything on our own, and we were making our fair share of mistakes. However, I like to call Bamberg, especially the hospitality house, God's greenhouse in Germany back in the late 90s. And if it hadn't been for that place, I don't know that my husband Nate and I would have made it. Uh, not just the hospitality house and Danny and Catherine, but also the people that were around us from the get-go. My husband in processed it to the military installation there with a man named Tom Price, and we were just they were our family immediately. Tom and Tina were immediately our family as soon as we met them, and we got the opportunity to be guided by them for 3 years. And I've never forgotten them. I miss them all the time still. They went on with their military career. We went on with ours. And anyway, long story, God has really used a lot of people in our lives. And everything that we have experienced in this life, in the last 28 years of marriage, just from the fact where it looked like we would not survive to here we are. Look how far we've come, baby. 28 years later. And my husband is my favorite person on the planet. I just see God's hand at every turn. Just for instance, when we went to Germany, my husband was supposed to go to Heidelberg, Germany. He had orders there and everything. And they took his orders and ripped them up in front of him and sent them to a less than ideal location in Bamberg. Well, God needed us to be there. And that's why that happened. Thank you, United States Army, for letting God work through you. So with that being said, we have had our ups and downs. After my husband got out of the Army, I managed to survive 1 year outside of the military. It was basically all I had known since I basically grew up. I was still a kid when I joined that lifestyle with my husband, and we stayed with it. Um, that 1 year where he was out and we were just in the civilian world, it was it was tough for me, and I wanted to go to the Marines, and I knew that was a foolish move because it's not the most family friendly branch, um, and I would have been gone a lot even before September 11th, 2001. So I skipped out on the Marines again and joined the Army myself. Um, and I served 8 years in the Army, and not always the best of times, but not always the worst of times either. One of my books is called The Brothers I Choose, and a lot of the things that happen in that book are based on my own personal military experiences. I'm not going to pretend that I was special forces. I wanted to be, but I did not make that leap. Uh, so my own experiences in as a soldier, and then also as a civilian working for the military. All my experience with uh, officers in the military comes from working for the military as a civilian. Uh, One of my most favorite jobs actually was called protocol officer, where kind of a glorified event manager, I guess you could say, and tour guide and public relations kind of thing. So a lot of that experiences for the brothers I choose comes from that. And throughout, all my stories, everything in all my books is going to be either I've experienced it, or it was my dream, or um, I am getting into the position where I'm going to interview people who are doing things that I've never done, and I I I God brought me a story about. For instance, I'm going to do a story about a female trucker, semi truck driver, and I don't know anything about that. I've never done that ever. So I'm really praying that God will bring me a lady to interview. I would be so excited if I could go on a ride along with her too. I don't know if that's allowed, but we'll see. So that kind of thing, I would love to interview people who are doing things that I've never done. Um, Me as a person, I am an adrenaline junkie. I like the thrill, yes, I have jumped out of perfectly good airplanes. I have bungee jumped. I have ridden bulls in high school. Girls typically don't do that, or didn't back in the old days. I think there's a female bull riding circuit now. Um, I have, always loved horses. I have always loved horses. I have always loved dogs. Cattle, I love those too. So, I would say definitely want to be cowgirl in my life. I've I've done some things that would maybe cement those spurs in place, but nowadays I'm an author, and I'm a dog mom to my little Charlie girl, and I love my family. Um, I love to adventure with my husband. I love to travel, which is, adventure. And I really like meeting the people who like to read my books. Uh, I would love, love, love the opportunity to participate in author showcases, a book tour. Um, if you are in need of an author for any reason, hit me up. I would love to be part of something special with you. Um, I guess with, about me, I I feel like I'm not just an author. I'm also, a wife. mother, grandmother. I have 3 grandbabies, and I'm not 50 yet. We do everything early around here. Oh, I had mentioned that I do things backwards. Well, I hurried in, got married, had a baby right away, had another baby right away, and then I decided to join the military. That's again backwards. Most people, when they join the military, they join right out of high school if they're going to go enlisted, or right out of college if they're going to go commissioned. So, and then after I joined the military, I decided, okay, now it's time to finish college. And so I did. I got my bachelor's, and then just 4 short years later, I was like, okay, I'm going to get my master's too. And I don't put a whole lot of stock in, degrees and things like that, because I feel like life teaches you so much more than a book can. I know that's weird coming from an author, but I feel like books are for enjoyment. And I have met too many people who are very, very book smart, but don't have a lot of experience with life. And so if I'm a hiring official, I am going to take the person with 15 years experience over the person with 3 degrees. You know what I mean? And that's nothing against highly educated people. My hat is off to you. I struggled all the way through all of my collegiate education. So not because it was hard, it was because I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be in school. I have been blessed with the ability to study well. So it's anyway. I'm going to move on from that because I don't want to offend anyone. So, in my lifetime, I like to tell people I'm from the United States, even though Texas is really home for me. I was born in Washington State. I have lived in Minnesota, Oregon, Texas, Utah. I have lived in Maryland, Virginia, Georgia, Alaska, North Carolina, Germany, of course. We have been all over the world. We raised our children traveling, which might be a disservice to our daughter because she really loves to travel. I think that's her love language, and that's our fault. We did that to her. It's hard to do when you have littles. But we raised our children camping. I love to hunt big game. 13 years in Alaska. I took moose, I took caribou, and they are some of the best memories of my life, those hunting trips every year, out into the wild millions of wild acres in Alaska. Currently working on finishing a book based on most of those experiences. So I'm excited to share that one with you because it's going to be fun. I really am more about the outdoors than anything else. So when I come across moments when I can't go outdoors, it's hard for me. You would think that in Alaska, that would be a place where a Texas girl cannot go outside in winter, right? Well, it took us too long, but we figured out how to ice fish on the frozen lakes up there, and we were able to rent a little heated ice shack, and it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I would recommend that to just about anybody who likes to fish. My husband is the fisherman. He has always gone hunting with me because, number one, he doesn't want me going out in the wilds alone. And number two, I don't know, maybe it's because I go fishing with him. I'm not a fisherwoman. I just like to be with him, so I go. And, I think he really likes to hunt too, but it's more about fishing for him. So, of course, I love to ride horses. Um, I will work cattle any day. I had a job as a stable hand when I lived in Maryland. And again, I was 18, 19 years old, and I mucked stalls, and it was my job to exercise the horses that were being boarded at this stable. And I got paid $5.25 an hour, and it was one of my best jobs ever. One of my best jobs ever. I loved that job. I'm looking to get a horse for our land in East Texas so that my granddaughter can carry on that legacy of horse love. Hopefully, she loves the boots she got for Christmas. So we'll see if that's something that she's going to like to do when we get that horse on the land. We need to be up there full time for me to get a horse, though, because it's not fair to get a horse and then take off and leave, because we live in San Antonio most of the time. Um, I don't really know that much more. If you have questions, please, by all means, post them, or you can email me at missmsjd.hurst@gmail.com. Um, I have my website where I'm selling my books, and I'm going to sell other people's books as well. There's blogs there. My website is booklyblessed.com. BOOKLYBLESSED.com. You can purchase books there. I love it when y'all purchase books from me in person, and I am starting a market route, I guess you could say, or market circuit, selling my books. Happy to sign them for anyone who wants to. One of the sweetest moments recently, where I was at a market and I had my table set up, and this young lady, she was probably 15, maybe 16, had purchased one of my books while I was away from my table. I had two events that day. One was an author showcase at a library 30 miles away, and the other one was the market for Oktoberfest in our little town. And so my sweet husband manned my table at the Oktoberfest while I went to the showcase. So this young lady had bought a book from him, and I'm not sure the conversation, but she kind of asked him, well, when is Miss JD going to be here? And he said she'll be back this afternoon. So I got there, and I was just putting my stuff down, and this young lady come running up to the booth, and she said, "Can you sign the book that I bought earlier?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And then she goes, "Okay, well, I want this other book too. Can you sign that one too?" I said, "Absolutely," and I just kind of talked to her for a second. And then she turned around and bought two more, the other two books, because I have the four out on the market right now. And she wanted me to sign all of them. And she was so excited to, I guess, meet me, to get signed books. I don't know. I never had a signed book. And I have been a connoisseur of books my entire life since I could read. I think I taught myself how to read early so that I could read books. um, but I was just like so humbled at her excitement and her sweetness. And I'm not saying that my books are necessarily written for the teenage genre, or I guess age group, you would say, but they're not harmful to young people who like to read. There's always the message of hope in God, help, peace, strength in God in my books. So that's not harmful to a reader. Anyway, beautiful moment. I was so excited to meet that young lady. I hope I get to see her again when I start releasing new books again this year. It is my goal to get 10 more written, and this is just related to copyright. You can put 10 books on a copyright application and submit it to the U.S. Copyright Office. And so, because there's cost involved with that, I want to try and do 10 at once. My fans that I have now are not excited about that plan because it's taking me too long to get the books written. And then I have to wait for the copyright. So I'm trying to find a balance with that. I feel like I wrote and released 4 books last year, and my fans just devoured them quickly and wanted more. And I feel bad because I would like to get them another book, but I want it to be a good one. So I'm gonna write it carefully. That's another reason that I self-publish, because I don't think I can live under a publisher's or editor's deadlines. When I'm inspired to write, I write. And sometimes that's in the middle of the night. Quite often in the middle of the night, God brings me a new story when I'm supposed to be sleeping. So I'll be making notes on that new story. I have 15 in the queue, and I just have to work on them. And when I lose my creativity, which surprised me, it actually happened to me. It's because of my environment. With being a self-publisher, I'm trying to also self-publicize. I am having to, work on the technical aspect of marketing and advertising and running my online store. It's a lot. And I am not a technical person. I am a creative person. So I'm also a little forgetful. So when I learn how to do something, I have to go back and relearn it when I need to do it again 3 months later because I forgot what I learned. So my heart's desire is that I get to just be the author, and that someone else, will take care of the nitty-gritty details like technical stuff and publicity and that sort of thing. That is my prayer. I am praying and asking God that I will be gifted with the means to bring someone on, if that makes sense. Okay, so Covertly Me and You is the first one. Is that backwards? And that's about a woman in her mid-40s who reinvents herself. And then, like I mentioned, The Brothers I Choose is about a woman who is in the Special Forces. And she gets there because she asserts herself as a football star in high school and college. And the U.S. Military Academy takes her on and commissions her, and then her life goes on as she goes into the Special Forces. And then her male counterpart is Kellen O'Donnell. Oh, I'm sorry, her name is Bridlin Bison. She goes by Brid. And she knew nothing but heartache since she was little. Heartache and horror, really. And then through her life in the military and her relationship with Kellen O'Donnell, who is her football teammate, and then he goes on to superstardom, and she goes into the military. So they have to find their way back to each other. And through that relationship with him, she learns how to love and forgive and come back stronger. So that's one of my favorites. You might notice the picture on the front. Trust me, that is me on my best day working for the Army, and I look nothing like Brid. However, this is one of my favorite books. It's detailed and adventurous, and it has some fear parts. I want you to read it, so I'm not going to give away too much. I think that tough girls are going to like Brit a lot, and strong men who are strong enough to be secure in themselves and not be threatened by a strong woman, will also like this book. I do not have a copy of For Better or For Worse. That one is a woman named Adora Williams. She goes by Dory. And a man, Alex Agathangelou, Alexander, of course. He's an executive. He owns his own multi-billion-dollar business that covers a lot of ground. And then she is a bartender at a hotel. And they kind of fall into each other by accident. And she is doing something to try and save her mother, who has cancer. And he's just kind of tired of everything and needs a change. So that one's a fun one too. I think you'll like it. It's just a lot of fun. And then the last one that I wrote is Montana Moon. That picture I took on a little mini cattle drive here in Texas. We were helping a neighbor move a herd around. And granted, this book is in Montana. However, I love this book because Penny Harden, our female character, is just a wild and free person, and she just kind of floats around to whoever needs someone to do a job. She's your girl, and she carries her two horses and her Rottweiler around with her. And to say I want to be her when I grow up is kind of an understatement. She just has a lot of fun in life, and she's not really intimidated by very much. And then her male counterpart, Grant Clark, he is a rancher in Montana who has a job that needs to be done, and whether he likes it or not, she's the girl who's gonna do that for him, and she's gonna turn his world upside down a little bit, and there's gonna be a lot of fun in that. I'm jealous of her because she gets to have her horses, with her, and she basically, the job is they need a roundup cook for cattle camp out in the hundreds of thousands of acres he has. And I think that it's awesome that she gets to do it. I love being the camp cook. When we left Alaska one time, we went back down to Georgia, and we were gone for 14 months. So we lost our residency. And so when we came back to Alaska, hunting season was getting going, but we had not reestablished our residency. It's kind of a calendar thing in Alaska. And so we went with a friend to his moose camp, and we were just the camp cooks. And of course we helped him spot moose and things like that, but we did not pull the trigger because we couldn't. We weren't residents, and we didn't have the money for that excessive out-of-state non-resident hunting license. So, and I was delighted. I didn't have to be the one taking the moose to have just the best time. When we go out to camp, we eat good. We do steaks, not hot dogs. We do pork chops, not just burgers, not just sandwiches, not beef jerky. Although that is a good thing to take with you on the four-wheeler in your hunting bag. I mean, because generally when you're chasing a moose, you end up miles away from camp, and you don't have time to go all the way back to get a sandwich. So, anyway, Montana Moon is my bestseller right now. everyone seems to really enjoy it. My fan base ranges from that 15-year-old young lady to 88-year-old readers. And I have not received any negative feedback. Everyone tells me they love my books. They can't wait for the next one. I've had people tell me that they ordered my book and it came in the mail when they got home from work that night, and they stayed up all night reading the book instead of sleeping for work the next day. Uh, so, like, if you want to have some fun in your reading, grab one of these. They are a lot of fun. All my books can be purchased on my website, in my store, my online store, Bookly Blessed. But if you are near me, I would love the opportunity to meet you and uh, sign the book if you want me to. Just talk to you a little bit. I would love that. Uh, I think that's pretty much where we're gonna go with our first podcast. I fully intend to interview people, have guests on my show. You tell me what you want from this. It's not going to just be about me all the time. My bookstore currently boasts my daughter's planner that she created last year, and she intends to do another one this year. And then I have a friend who has already written a book, and she's in that spot where I was for 35 years, where I'm scared to let people read it. But as soon as she is ready, her book will be on my shelves, and I'm offering space in my store to other Christian authors that I meet or that I know already. And so I am embarking on a collaborative effort devotional this year. I will have that ready for print by 1 October this year, and think that it would really make a really lovely, gift, Christmas gift, birthday, anniversary, Valentine's, whatever, makes you happy. And I also do offer gift wrapping, custom gift packaging on my website. So just let me know what you need. If you are a budding author yourself, I'd be happy to, join your launch group and read your material and give you feedback. I am honest, but I am not unkind. So I have judged a few contests through the American Christian Fiction Writers Conference or Association, and then the Romance Writers of America. So I'm trying to be out there, and I would love to be interviewed by you, your church. I would love to guest at a book club, whatever y'all need. Hit me up, Miss msjd.hurst@gmail.com. Bookly Blessed, there's a contact form there. And then, of course, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I guess it's X now. I am also on YouTube, obviously, and TikTok. I'm working on that one too. And Pinterest. I'm working on setting up a bookstore in Etsy. So, hope to hear from you. All right. Thank you so much for your time. I really hope that y'all will be enjoying this podcast. God bless you. I appreciate you. Good day.